Hello, everyone. Welcome to my channel. I am SG, and this is Let the Lady Speak. On Let the Lady Speak, we discuss life, love, dating, and relationships and mental health. Tonight, we're talking about cheating. So, we're going to get into the topic of cheating. It is a spicy topic. I know everyone won't agree with my thoughts and views on it, and that is a-okay. I understand. I am going to do a panel on this topic soon, hopefully, or at least probably in June. We'll see. Maybe sooner if I have someone that really wants to talk about it. Normally, I have a reason, like something happened that sparked me to talk about a certain topic. Tonight really isn't the case. That isn't the case. It just came to me. I was praying and meditating, and cheating was what came to mind. So tonight we're going to talk about cheating. Just a reminder to you guys, I have my braces. If this is your first time here, welcome. I have braces, and sometimes you may hear some smacking. I try to edit it out, but it really isn't always that easy. And I have my bands in tonight, which makes things a little more challenging, but I'm paying these people a lot of money to fix my alignment. So I have to stop taking my bands out. So I'm going to try to get through it. But again, forgive me if there's some smacking. It by any means it's not intentional. Okay, getting to into cheating. Okay, let's talk about it. Let's just talk about cheating. What is cheating? Cheating is having an intimate interaction with someone outside of your relationship. That is my definition of cheating. I don't know. Everyone has their own definition of cheating. Some people feel like cheating is purely physical, it's emotional, it's financial. For me, as a blanket statement, it's we had an agreement. We decided to be monogamous. We decided to commit to one another, and you've broken that contract on any level. On any level. So if you've had intimate moments that should have been within our relationship that you had outside of our relationship, I consider that cheating. And again, that is something up for discussion. I can't wait to hear the feedback on this here podcast. Cheating is also, for many, it's the ultimate betrayal. It is a betrayal because we made an agreement and you've broken this agreement. It's considered disrespectful. It shows a lack of loyalty for a lot of people. It's very painful. And, again, there are various forms of cheating. Cheating for a lot of people is a deal breaker. Cheating is, for some people, it's an absolute, we are done. For other people, not so much. And I think that should be individualized for you and your mate. I don't feel like society or your family or friends or ego should really dictate what is cheating for you and what is acceptable to you or for you as it relates to infidelity in a relationship. I think a lot of people have been cheated on. I have definitely been cheated on. And I'm going to get into my experiences a little later, but it is a very hard thing to go through. It's something very difficult to come back from. And some people deal with it in a manner in which that's healthy, and some people maybe not so much. Now, I'm going to say cheating is not a person that is dating other people. If you guys are dating and you have not had the conversation that we are committed, we are one, we are monogamous, we are not seeing one another, anyone else, rather, you guys have not set the rules down as to what this relationship is, I can't consider that cheating. I don't consider that cheating because you're not committed. So what has been broken? And I think a lot of people take one date or a few dates, and I'm going to talk about this in another episode, but there's this stigma that if you, or belief, I should say, that if you take me on a date and we really like each other and you show me interest, I am now yours and you're now mine. Ladies, let me tell you something, because it's happening most times with women. It happens with men, but most of the time it's with the ladies. Until that man tells you and you two agree that you are committed and you are staying together and you are an item and you guys establish the rules of your relationship, you're not together. You're not together, because I can guarantee you, even if he's acting in a way that you guys are together, the moment he does whatever he wants to do, he's going to tell you you're not together, you know? So know what your relationship is, set some ground rules, like really, really have these conversations, be honest about what you two want in this relationship, and move forward. So that's not what cheating is. Cheating isn't if you guys are talking and he's seeing other women, or vice versa, fellas. Now, I know that it's rare when the tables are turned as far as knowing what the relationship is, but if you haven't committed to her, if you haven't committed to her to the level that is acceptable for her, you can't say that that's your lady. And so you can't say whether or not, she can see other people. And let's be mature here, because I was watching something on this topic and I got so annoyed I had to turn it off. You have to be mature, and you have to know that men and women, we all have our needs and we all have our desires. And you can't feel like a man is obligated to cheat. Like, it's okay. And it can't be, this is completely acceptable just for a man to cheat. It isn't acceptable to betray your partner. It isn't acceptable to disrespect your partner. It isn't acceptable to break a contract. Like, those things really aren't acceptable just because you're a man, right? Men and women have desires. I'm going to tell you, men, some of y'all, let me just, be honest. Some men really believe that their woman never have the desire to cheat. And that's not necessarily true. And you feel like you have the right to cheat because you're a man and this is what society has told you. And that's really not true either, especially in this day and age. We have needs too. There are a lot of sexual women that, and a lot of their partners haven't tapped into their sexuality. They don't take the time to get to know them really romantically. They don't woo them. They don't date them. There's no romance. There's not great foreplay. There isn't a great performance, So you're out here thinking you have the right to cheat because you're unhappy in this way or that way, or she's not fulfilling you in a certain way, or you see her sexually one way, but you want to handle this woman the other way, when you have this whole woman at home. You just haven't tapped into her, and you haven't tapped into her because you haven't allowed a level of intimacy, because that does take two. There's some trust missing, there's some intimacy missing, there's some romance missing, there's some things missing. But I'm here to tell you, a lot of times you just haven't tapped into your woman's sexuality. A lot of times you haven't taken the time to be patient with her, to understand how her body works. And a lot of times you guys live with this fantasy in your head that your wife can't be this certain woman. Your wife, if you have decided to be in a monogamous relationship, or your girlfriend or fiance, if you decided that it's monogamous, this person should be able to meet those intimate needs. You guys should be on the same level when it comes to that. And I think a lot of times that's not the case. And a lot of times there's this misconception that the good girl, quote unquote, doesn't have sexual desires. Most of the time she does. Now, there are cases where women have had traumas and things like that. But again, that's a place of trust where you guys have to really deal with it. And she has to really deal with her trauma and her sexual desires, or whatever may be a problem, whatever the issue may be. That is something for her to deal with. But you have to be her partner and her support system to help her through that. And if you have cheated before and then she's forgiving you and now you're cheating again, sir, the issue is there's no trust. And all she can think about is that you've been with someone else. Now, ladies, this goes both ways, because there are women who cheat and there are women who seek a desire other places. Now, men oftentimes think that women only cheat emotionally. That's not true. That is not true. There are a lot of women who only cheat emotionally, but honestly, that's not true. There are women who can detach their feelings from the act of sex, especially when there's been a lot of trauma, if there's been rape or molestation, things like that, or, you just never know. It just depends. A lot of women can separate the two. A lot of women are able to detach from the actual sexual act, just as you. So they don't see it as an emotional connection at all. They are meeting a sexual need. There are a lot of women with a high sex drive, right? There are women who maybe they're with you. Say you're not, because cheating isn't all physical. Say that the affair is because it's another form of cheating. Say that it's intimacy. Maybe this person makes her feel comfortable and the intimacy is there with him, but it's not with you. You know, these things happen. Please don't be so arrogant as to think that women don't have wants, needs, and desires. Don't think that they don't have a need of intimacy. Don't think that you're the best thing that they ever had, especially when it comes down to sex, that they don't desire something different, because we do. And a lot of times, no disrespect, no shots fired. This is just the honest to God truth. But a lot of times, you're not the best lover that they've ever had. You may not even be the best friend that they ever had. You may be the best provider. You may be the one that stepped forward. You may be the one they felt is right for you. You may be the most spiritual or religious person. You may have certain things. You may offer a certain amount of security, things like that. There's other reasons that a woman may have decided to be with you, but it isn't always because you're the best thing sexually or on an intimate level. You may not be the most romantic person. That happens a lot. And you guys think that women are just okay with it. Women just know how to keep it moving. And men don't as much. So it's more accepted in society that men cheat, but women do cheat. But men don't think that your woman doesn't have other desires. I would recommend that you learn to become very in tune to your partner and as to what their desires are, what's romantic to them, what's intimacy for them, how they enjoy. What is it that they enjoy? Learn their body, help them learn their body, become more comfortable. Now, don't get me wrong, it's a woman's responsibility to learn her body, but help her in that, make her feel more comfortable in that. Like, are you judgmental? Are you romantic? Do you flirt with her? Like, learn to flirt with your woman throughout the day. Learn to have these conversations where you really listen to her and you're not annoyed by her. And ladies, don't nag all the time. Sometimes, take a break from nagging and be your man's girlfriend. Be the girlfriend, be the fun person, but men, you have to provide an environment for that as well. So it goes both ways. It's always balance. There's always yin and yang. I just recommend that you guys really know each other, know what works for each other, but you also have to start with knowing yourself. Like I said, men very rarely recover when a woman has cheated on him. It's a big bruise to the ego. Men have this fantasy in their head that women are on a certain level and they would never do these things. Women aren't bad because they cheat, and you're not bad because you cheat. There are reasons for things. There are unmet needs. There are insecurities, psychosocial issues. There's a lot of things that impact and that are part of the reasons why some people cheat. Right, wrong, or different, whether you agree with it or not, the facts are the facts. And the facts that there are various reasons why a person will cheat. Some people were never happy in a relationship from the beginning. Some people are trying to find a way to find themselves. Some people are just cheaters. Like, some people are just cheaters. Some people have these empty holes that haven't been fulfilled. They have childhood trauma. They're looking for acceptance. They are looking for love. Like, they have this endless need of love. There are so many reasons why people cheat. So you really have to delve into why that is and what you're looking for. If it's you or if it's your partner, you really have to come to grips with that, have that conversation, to be completely honest. But men, come down really hard on women for cheating. And it's like a non-negotiable for men. Although I do know there's some men who have forgiven. I'm not going to take away from you fellas, but for the most part, a lot of men don't like to forgive, and it's because it's a bruise to the ego. But you really have to look into that relationship to see why that happened, and vice versa. With women, women are more steadfast. So a lot of women forgive cheating. There are some that won't. There are some that cheating is a complete and total non-negotiable, and we have that right. If more women were like men, where if you cheat on me, that is it, it is over, I think men would stop cheating more. I think men take advantage of women's nurturing, loving nature and decide to do it again because they feel like, oh, she's going to forgive me because she wants something different than I want. When really men and women want the same thing. Men and women want the same thing. And I said that in the last podcast. We all want respect. We want love. We want intimacy. I said respect already. We want trust. We want loyalty. Like we want the same thing. You can't think that we don't want anything different. And when it comes down to sex, you can't think that a woman doesn't have a sexual desire. You can't think that. Fellas, I'm trying to tell you, don't think that. But women oftentimes do forgive more often than men. And so that makes it seem like it's even more acceptable. I personally don't feel like there's anything wrong with forgiving your partner for cheating, right? 9 times out of 10, let's just keep it funky. You know when your man is a cheater. Most times we know. We know that they are not we know that they are a cheater, or we know when they're cheating, or we get an inkling that we're cheating. Our intuition always tells us that something isn't right. But you know, an unfaithful guy, most of the time, the most devastating thing is when you think that this person isn't doing it to you. But we usually know what type of man we've gotten ourselves involved with. You just think that he loves you more. And let me just tell you, it isn't you. It isn't you. Even if you guys are having problems, even if there's something that you're doing that's triggering a person to that made them cheat, they're going to say that at times. Listen, everyone makes a choice. You make a choice, no matter what, good, bad, or indifferent. You decide that you're going to go forward with the action. And when you decide to go forward with the action, you got to be prepared for the outcome. And I'll talk about that later. But I don't take the black and white stance that if you cheat, it's over. But that does not mean that you abuse that. It does not mean that at all. And I think a lot of men abuse, again, the nature of a woman. They take the kindness, they abuse that kindness, they abuse that love, they abuse that loyalty. And I'm telling you, don't do that. Don't do that, especially now because times are changing. Before, men can cheat and women didn't say anything because it was how we had to survive. Like we couldn't, our homes and everything was tied. We were tied to our husbands in society. That is no longer the case. So there are a lot of women who can be by themselves. There are a lot of women who are patient and will wait. Women don't have to have children like, once upon a time. So that old school thinking kind of has to go by, it has to, I can't say kind of has to go by the wayside because that's not true. So me, myself personally, it's difficult for me to commit, but I am a complete monogamous person. So once I decide to commit to you, I don't want anyone else with you but you. If I But you have to get me to commit, and that is going to be the challenge. That's going to be the challenge with me because I enjoy my space, I enjoy my life, I enjoy my freedom. Relationships are beautiful, beautiful, but they take a lot of work, and they take a lot of giving of yourself, and it takes a lot of accountability to another person. And I have to have a certain kind of person to be okay with that, and I haven't found that person yet. you know I enjoy my individuality. I love it, in fact. And so in order for me to move forward in a relationship, there are certain things that have to be provided, but I haven't found that yet. And when I find it and when it's time, then that's when I'll move forward. Also, um Dating is terrible. Dating is horrible. We have a panel coming soon. We're going to talk about that. But dating is so challenging these days. But more than that, in my singleness, I have really done so much work on myself. I have really grown so much just with this topic here. So for me personally, cheating isn't a deal breaker. We can work through cheating. I have been cheated on where my partner, my fiance actually got a girl pregnant, but we really broke up because he wouldn't allow me to. I mean, the pregnancy was the coup de grace. It was the straw, right? But before then, I had already started planning my, leaving the relationship because he didn't support me in bettering myself and he didn't support my dreams, right? I have been cheated on where it hurt and I didn't even cry. When I found out he cheated, I'm just like, okay, well, this is, we're about to end this anyway, Um, there have been times that I've been cheated on and it hurt me, like literally made me sick. But that's because that person made me believe that we were here in this relationship, that the relationship was in a certain place that it really wasn't in, and they were out seeking other things for whatever the reasons were. There have been times that I was cheated by someone cheated, and honestly, I wanted him to cheat, like go somewhere, but there were other parts of our relationship that I love. There were other parts of our relationship that I cherished, and we had these things, but I knew certain things about this person. And I think a lot of people aren't honest about what they know about their partner and who their partner is. And when you talk about loving someone unconditionally, and that doesn't mean take anything from them, but when you talk about loving someone unconditionally, that means flaws and all. It's just how you choose to deal with them. You could choose to stay, you can choose to go, you can choose to love, in the sense of be loving towards them. You can choose to fight for it, you can choose to work through it, you could choose to walk away. What do you choose? You can choose to keep this person far from you, you can bring them in. Like, you have to choose. I know a lot of people believe, and again, no one has to agree with me, that once you cheat, that's just it. And you don't love me and you didn't respect me. I don't necessarily believe that. I honestly believe a lot of times people cheat because they have issues within themselves that they haven't dealt with. So I was never one to say that was that, right? Unless I didn't want to be with you anyway. But if I decided, which, like I said, it's difficult for me to commit. If I've committed to you, I've decided to be with you, right? And so I've decided to be here. So what are we going to do to work this out? What are we going to do to make this better? What are we going to do to fix it, right? But where I am today is that's not something that I'm going to deal with just because I need to know now. 44-year-old me is like, okay, what type of how do you cope with things? Because some people cope with traumas, anxiety, and stress with sex. Some people do, men and women. And that's one of the reasons why they cheat. It doesn't have anything to do with you as the mate. It has to do with them and that this is their coping skill. Some people are trying to feed their ego. And it, again, has nothing to do with you. It has to do with them. Some people have abandonment issues and they're sabotaging the situation. Again, not you, it's them. Some people don't have the tools to come to you and say, this is what I need. I remember my one partner kept dropping signs that they needed me. Okay. They kept saying that they needed me. They wanted me to start working so much. They wanted me to start working so much. They wanted me to spend time with them, right? And those were signs. Okay, that he needed me to do this for him so that he wouldn't step out on me. Now, I was in a place where you're not giving me what I need, and I've asked you for what I need on several occasions. So I really don't care about what you need. This is really how I felt. Like, I'm being completely transparent with you guys. And so in that, he cheated. And that was the case where I'm like, I don't care. Maybe you'll feel better about yourself because you're making me miserable. You're driving me crazy here. Okay. Now I have the tools and understanding. That's like some of the things that I've done in my singleness. And I think I'm going to do thinking about it. I probably would do a podcast about me and my singleness and how that changed me, because it made me spend more time with me. It made me research love and relationships and just work on my communication skills. And I'm a talker, thus this podcast, I'm a talker. But truly communicating my feelings and being okay with being vulnerable and being okay with certain conversations and being truthful about who I am as a person and what is important to me. I did that work during my singleness and understanding men. I've done a lot of research on understanding men, not from women, but from men. I talked about this before. TD Jakes has a whole series. There are other men. There's a ton of men out here that really are opening themselves up and being vulnerable, and they're trying to help men. And while they're trying to help men, I am listening in too, because I really do want a healthy community and I want a healthy relationship once I decide to enter into another relationship. I need a certain amount of health. So now my thing is, what are your coping skills? Where are your communication barriers? What are your triggers? What was your childhood like? What was your relationship with your mom? How do you view women? Like now I need all of that information. What type of therapy have you had? How have you addressed these issues? How do you deal with these issues? If what this person is saying doesn't meet my requirements, I won't even entertain the relationship or moving forward or dating or anything. Because now I know where these things can lead to. I know that if you have mommy issues, then you're going to try to punish me for what your mommy's done if you haven't dealt with your mommy issues. I know that if you have a bunch of insecurities that you haven't dealt with, i.e. abandonment issues, you're going to try to, so a lot of times, sabotage the relationship. If you've grown up around a lot of toxic men that told you that the more women you have, the more of a man you are, and that's what makes you a man. Like if you can financially provide for your woman, but you can't give to you, but you can have as many women as you like. Excuse me, guys, I'm having a hard time with these things. You can provide for your woman financially, but you can't be intimate with her. You can't provide your intimacy with her. You can't share with her. You can't open up with her. You can't let your guard down. If men have told this person this their whole life, like if that's the environment that he's come from, I can't deal with that either. I don't want to deal with anyone who isn't willing to work on themselves, who isn't willing to see themselves, who doesn't recognize that they have any issues. Honey, I'm here to tell you, a relationship with a narcissist will break you down to your break pads. A narcissist is like the worst person to be in a relationship with. And I learned so much from that. So what I'm saying is now me today will not deal with anyone who has not dealt with themselves. Me then, because of my own abandonment issues and things like that, I had these tendencies of codependency that I never wanted to acknowledge. I feel like we can work through these things. You can't fix another person. You can love a person through things, but you can't fix another person. I need a partner that has his own set of tools, and I'm going to be right here with you, because again, once the decision is made that we are going to do this, we're doing this. Right? Unless there is abuse, I don't tolerate abuse or, neglect, things like that. Or if we're just not a great fit. But at this point, I think I would pick a great fit. I can't see me not picking a great fit at this point in my life. We have to decide what it is that we want and what we're looking for. Okay. So we have to decide what works best for us, and for me, your mental health is imperative. For me, your mental health is imperative. if you haven't dealt with if you haven't dealt with the hurt and the pain that your parents have caused you, your ex-girlfriend has caused you, the rejection from people at school or whatever the case may have been, I won't entertain that individual in any way. I have no desire to try to love you through that when you've decided that you won't love yourself enough to help yourself. Now, mental health, dealing with yourself, healing, all of that is a continuum. You're going to always do that because there's so many traumas that happen throughout life, even in adulthood, right? So I'm okay that you may go through some things. The expectation is that you may go through some things, right? You may suffer a loss of a loved one. Something from your past may come up that you didn't know or you don't recognize. I'm here to tell you, I myself have had triggers out of nowhere. Like, wait a minute, what is this about? And then I have to retrieve and kind of deal with those things. But I have tools to work through them. I have gained tools. I'm continuing to gain tools. And I think in relationships, that is so important that you guys as individuals have your tools, and you guys as a couple, you have your tools, right? You have to know how to work through it, and you have to decide that that is what you want to do. So when we just talk about what you want to do and where you want to go in your relationship with your partner, when there has been infidelity, there has to be some transparency, and then you have to recognize who you picked, and you make your decisions. Right? So what if you decide to stay? What if you decide to stay? And let me tell you something. If you want to stay, you stay. Again, I don't believe in abuse, but if I think society has taught us, well, not even society, I think in our community, you're taught that you're weak. A lot of times in a marriage, especially in a long-term relationship, when you guys have really, really invested in one another and invested in other things, you have the right to try to work that out. When you guys have agreed that you're gonna be together, you have the right to work that out. And that isn't anybody's business. It really isn't. I know of couples that there's been infidelity, that they are in the best place. I know of couples that there's infidelity and they're not. I know of couples where there's been no infidelity, but they can't stand each other, but they're still together. They live two different, completely different lives, and they're just like, coexisting. You have to do what works best for you. And, again, there's no judgment here. When we just consider your health, but physical health, mental health, spiritual health, consider your health. You got to take care of you first. Just remember that. Some tips so if you decide to stay, if you decide to stay in a relationship and work things out, you got to remember a couple things. A, it's going to take a lot of work. It's going to take a lot of work. It is not going to be easy. Okay. B, you must remember that why you're choosing to stay. What is it about that relationship and that person that's making you stay? Is it that you love them? Is it that you guys have built this home community or whatever the case may be together? You look at Will and Jada, a lot of the reasons why they're still together, and they said that we have a lot invested here. So we're not going to let this be the end. Whether you agree or disagree, that is what works for that relationship. So why are you saying you guys need to be on the same page as to why you're going to work in this relationship? It's going to take patience. You guys are going to have to be patient with one another. And if you're the one who cheated on your partner, you have to know it's going to take a lot of patience for them to get through this process. It's going to take a lot of understanding on both parties' part. You may feel like because you were the one cheated on, you don't have to offer any understanding, but you do. You have to offer some understanding to your partner. Whether you agree with it or not is a different conversation, but there needs to be some understanding and empathy there. It's going to take some maturity, because this is a grown people conversation, honey. We have bills and kids and homes and life insurance policies. It's not just sex. It's not just a one night stand. It's not just something you can just walk away from. I question if you could just walk away from it, how deep it ran for you. But also, because I don't want to judge, your past traumas may be one in which something like this is just something that you can't bear. And I understand that because, again, I have been sick from cheating. Like I said, I've been sick from somebody cheating on me. And I've also been like, I hope she makes you happy because you get on my nerves. But, that is me and my experience. Some tips for getting over cheating. Number one, if you cheated on your partner, allow the person to go through their grieving process. You have to allow your person to go through their grieving process, and you don't get to tell them how to grieve. You don't get to tell them how to grieve. That is their grieving process. There are 5 to 7 steps, depending on what book you read. You have to allow that person to go through the grieving process. What are they grieving, may you ask? They're grieving this relationship that they thought was perfect. They're grieving the loss of the person that they thought they knew and trusted. They're grieving all the time that they've invested and everything else that they've invested into this relationship. You have to allow that person to grieve. When you made your decision, you decided to take everything that came with it. When you decided to stay, you decided to take what would come with that as well. So you have to allow that to happen. You can't dictate their reaction. You can't dictate their reaction to make you feel better. You know how people say, stop crying, you're going to make me cry. I can't stand that. Me crying has nothing to do. Why should I stop crying so you can't cry? I know people say that because they don't know what to say, but just don't say anything. I'm crying because I'm feeling something in the moment. Allow me to feel what I'm feeling in the moment. And that's what you have to allow for your partner. You have to remember that you've broken their heart and you betrayed their trust. You have to stand in that. So don't be dismissive. Don't be dismissive. Don't tell them they just need to get in it. Again, get over it. Again, you have to allow them to have their grieving process. Don't be dismissive, because remember, you made the decision. You made the decision to step out on them. Be remorseful. Be empathetic. Be accountable. No matter what was going on in your relationship, because there are times people aren't getting what they need and they step out. That's just what it is. People don't want to acknowledge that, but the truth is sometimes people aren't getting what they need and they step out. Okay, but you still made that choice. And you have to hold yourself accountable for the choice that you made. You chose violence. No, you chose to step out. You chose to do whatever you did, whether you were having intimate conversations with someone, whether you were spending time with someone, whether you were giving money to someone, no matter what the case may be, you chose and you broke the trust of your partner. So you have to be accountable for your actions. So don't tell them, if you had done this. Even if that's the case, you still have to own your own crap you chose. So you're going to have to work to regain their trust, and you're going to have to be patient in that. And that means being transparent. That means communicating often. That means give them what they need. But I say this within reason, because some people, if you have yourself a manipulator on your hands, they are going to milk the situation. And especially if you cheat on a narcissist. Oh my gosh. So, but you have to give them what they need. And if you get to the point, excuse me guys, if you get to the point where you can't give anymore, you need to say that. You need to acknowledge that, and you need to communicate that. Be honest about why it happened. So yes, take your accountability, but be honest about why it happened. If you don't really know, be honest about that. If you feel like there was something missing, be honest about that. Whatever it is, be honest about that. And for the person that has been cheated on, you have to listen. Even if you feel like it's BS, listen. You can have your conversation back, you can have your rebuttal, in a healthy way. You guys should practice that. But you have to listen. If you're really trying to work this thing out, y'all have to listen to each other. Communication is just not words saying to a person, it's a person internalizing what has been said, understanding it, and then communicating back their thoughts and views on it. It isn't just one person saying whatever it is that they want to say. You got to listen. Okay. But you be honest. Be honest about why you cheated. Okay. Um, it helps with the trust. And then it helps you guys realize, since you know why it's done, you can kind of work on that thing. So if it's, say if it's your abandonment issues, you can go to therapy for that and deal with those issues and deal with your triggers and things like that, you know. So be honest. If your partner cheated on you and you decided to stay, you have to be honest about your feelings, even if they change. Anybody that's ever been cheated on or gone through a mourning process knows one day is one thing, the next day is another. Like I said, with one person, the first time they cheated, I was sick as a dog. Oh gosh, I was so sick. But I had a certain belief. There was another period in our relationship where we were in another place and I didn't care. You know, um, be honest about where you are and however that fluctuates. Allow yourself to be honest in those moments. Communicate those feelings. Communicate those feelings. However, you need to communicate. If you need to say it to them, if you need to audio tape it, if you need to write it down, if you need to text it and not send it, whatever you need to do, be honest. Stand in those feelings, excuse me. Stand in how you feel. Own those feelings. Work through those feelings. Don't try to work around. Don't push it down. Don't hide it. Don't say you don't care. Like all those defense mechanisms that we learned growing up. Like, I don't really care. I don't really want you. I don't need you. All those things that we do to defend ourselves, let those things go and really stand in it, because that's how you're going to heal. And if you guys make it or not, you're still going to have to deal with the crap that's at your door, right? And right now it's infidelity. So stand in how you feel and be honest with yourself and your partner, but first yourself about how you're feeling and communicate those feelings. Forgive yourself for staying. A lot of times you'll stay and then you're mad at yourself for staying. And it's really an ego thing. And you feel like you're stronger than this. Staying with the person that you love doesn't make you weak. It doesn't. It just means that you love a person and you're willing to give it a try. You can always walk away. You could always leave. If it doesn't work out, if they're not meeting your needs, if you still don't feel safe, because safety is most important. Safety is paramount. If you don't feel safe, if you don't feel secure, if this isn't for you, you have the right to leave. You can walk away and you'll be well within your rights, you know. Again, I don't believe in staying in unhealthy environments, especially when you have children, because now you're causing damage to your children. There's a saying out there where they say, I'm in therapy because you didn't go to therapy. And basically that is what happened. So I believe in working through those things, especially when you have children, because you have to give them the tools. You have to help them with tools to be healthy in their adulthood and in their relationships, right? So at any time, it's your right. But if you're deciding to, you've made the decision to stay, then just, you have to do the work and you have to be honest and you have to forgive yourself and you have to forgive them when you're ready. Okay. Decide what's needed to regain their trust and communicate that. You may need a retreat. You may have to go away for a little bit, to really work through these things and have this conversation. What do you need? For some people, I know they're like, I need, tracking devices. I need you to check in every so often. Like, there's all these things you need. Some people have just decided to blindly let it go, but that works for them because they don't want the stress of trying to keep up with everything that you're doing. They have to trust that if I stayed, I have to trust that you're going to be faithful to me moving forward. So it's really up to you. So I would, recommend that you decide what you need for your trust to be regained and communicate that to your partner. Don't seek revenge. I know this is a hard one. I know it is hard, but don't seek revenge, especially when it comes at the cost of your integrity. You sleeping with somebody else to make him mad is going to hurt you more than it hurts him, right? It says a lot about you. Your value is too high for that, don't do it because they did it. Your value is too high for that. So don't do that. What you should do, what I recommend that you do, is that you don't seek revenge. You just work on yourself and work on working through this traumatic experience. That's what you do. And decide if you're going to stay or if you're going to go. So some takeaways for tonight: be honest. And this is for both the cheater and the person that was cheated on. Be honest about what you want and where you are. You guys should have that conversation and always be honest about that. What is it that you want? Where are you? What are we doing? What are we working towards? What's our goal? Set small goals, set daily goals, set weekly goals, because for the person that cheated, you're going to have to know that this person's going to cuss you out sometimes, going to cry sometimes, going to be resentful sometimes, going to love on you sometimes it's going to be just like old times and nothing. And then tomorrow, they get a flashback and they think about the person that I love gave the best of themselves to someone else. And whether you consider that to be the best of you or not doesn't matter to your partner. They feel like you gave them the best of yourself or a part of yourself, and they were under the understanding that that all belonged to me and it was sacred, and it's no longer sacred. And you have to acknowledge that. You can't ignore it. So you guys have to be honest about what you want and where you are. Communicate and check in with each other often. Where are you? And I mean, have some honest communication. If you guys need to work on your communication skills and tools, seek help to do that. But communicate often. Today, I'm feeling this way. Today, I'm sad. Today, I'm angry. Today, I'm resentful. Today, I love you. Today, I like you. Today, I don't like you. Today, you are on my dang on nerves and I don't want you standing next to me. Whatever that is, let it be. And you guys have to love and support each other enough through that process. Y'all have to love and support each other enough because this happened to the both of you, although the person that did it caused it. Sometimes we do neglect our partners and we do neglect their needs and they make bad decisions. It doesn't mean it was your fault. It does mean that that was a factor and you have to acknowledge the factor. Okay. That person still made a choice, but there were still factors that led to that, and just acknowledge it. Allow a safe space for your partner to reveal themselves. I have a podcast. My very first podcast was on creating a safe space for your partner. Check that out. Allow a safe space for your partner. What does that look like? When I come to talk to you and tell you my feelings, don't shut me down. Don't get annoyed. Don't push me away. Don't become accusatory. Don't belittle my feelings. Don't disregard. Allow me to be okay. Allow me to be vulnerable. Okay. Allow it to happen. So create that space where your partner can really talk to you about what they're feeling and what they're going through and share this experience. If you guys want to improve your intimacy, you have to have an intimate environment. Okay. seek help. There's couples therapy. And I recommend individual therapy too. So you go as individuals to therapy and then go to couples counseling. And if there's group counseling, do that. There's a lot of books you can read. There's a lot of things on the internet you can do. There are coaches if you are not comfortable with an actual therapist or counselor, there are coaches that you can reach out to that focus on relationships and things like that. Seek help though. Sometimes we need outside help. Sometimes we do. And that's a lesson that I've been learning this week. Although I keep learning this lesson, I hope I get it through my head this time that you have to ask for help. That's just my own personal situation. You guys have decide why you're staying together. I think I put that twice, but that's very important because what's the goal for the both of you? You guys should have that decision. It keeps you focused, on the big picture and not just those moments, because those moments are going to be a lot. Those moments, I'm going to tell you something. You can hit me with a bus and I'll be happier than you breaking my heart. I don't deal with heartbreak well at all. I don't deal with betrayal well, none of that. I don't deal with it well. So I rather don't hurt me in this way, So we have to keep the goal we have to keep the goal in view so we can focus on the goal. So focus on the goal. Why are we staying together? What is it that you guys offer each other? What value do you put in each other's life? Why are you still here? Keep your family and your friends out your business unless you really, really trust them and they are really, really in a good place and they are really, really healthy people, because they will pour their toxicity into you, because they will tell you what they would have done or what they wish they had done had they been in your shoes, or if they were your shoes, or when they were in your shoes. There's nothing wrong with seeking wisdom. I believe in seeking wisdom. I believe in wisdom. Okay. Everybody though doesn't belong in your relationship. And that's another reason why an outside source is good, because they're not invested in either one of you personally. When it's your family, all they know is that you hurt my loved one, and they may not forgive you. You two, you guys are now, y'all in a good place. Y'all going on vacation. The sex is great. The communication is great. The intimacy is great on all levels. Like, things are going great. Y'all are out here flourishing. Y'all started a new business, whatever. You guys are in a better place. But the people that love you just know that you hurt them. And that's when you cheat, again, you have to remember, you're not just doing this to yourself. You've now impacted the village. It's the children, it's the in-laws, it's the parents, it's the friends, because they have to watch the person that they love hurt because you made a decision. So understand that. And I'm a firm believer, don't play with matters of the heart. Don't play with people's heart. Don't play with people's feelings. Don't do it. Don't do it, because you don't know what that'll lead. There's been a lot of people hurt, injured, and killed over someone, over infidelity or someone playing games with the heart. Don't do that. Be honest and be true. But, keep your family and your friends out of it. And the church too, if you want me to be honest. I guess I shouldn't say that. People go to church for counsel. I'm not against church like you guys may think, but I do have my concerns. If they offer something that you guys are comfortable with and you feel like will be beneficial, then do that. I don't believe in an environment that promotes long suffering though. So you don't have to suffer through everything. Abuse and neglect is not something to suffer through. That's just my opinion. But I do believe that people can get over things. I do believe that people make mistakes. I do believe that people get involved in situations not knowing. You think about it. If you think about marriage, for instance, you two have decided to be together forever, and you're going through all of your life changes together. Think about the friends that you've had. You have friends that have come and you've had friends that have gone and you've had friends that you've grown, but you have chosen to be with your partner for the rest of your life. And you guys are going through these changes together. That is a lot. And I don't think people really think about marriage like that. They just think about, I now have a husband and I now have a wife. I now have this marriage. But you don't think about the growing pains, the career changes, the different views and thoughts. Like I said, the SG at 20 versus the SG at 44 are different people that will allow and tolerate different things. I have different experiences. I have changed thoughts and views on many things, honestly. So you have to go through that with someone else, and they have their own experiences, and you two have to come together and decide how we're going to, still stay together throughout all of these transitions of life. And that is not easy. So I do believe there's a certain amount of grace and love and compassion that needs to be given to each partner, but you guys have to own your own crap. You have to communicate. You have to be honest, and you have to try. You literally have to wake up and say, I'm staying today. You can love somebody and not be, not interact with them. There are going to be days that you're going to like your partner. There are going to be days you won't like them. There are going to be days that you love them to death. And some days that's your boyfriend or girlfriend. And then some days that's just Bob, but I choose you. I choose you every single day. I choose you in every single situation. I choose you. So that's the place that you guys want to get to. And you're going to have to really, if you cheated, you have to really work on gaining that person's trust. And you have to say what that is. And if you've been cheated on, you have to work on knowing what is needed for that and communicate that to your partner. And your partner has to make the effort to make those changes, So that concludes tonight's episode. I hope you enjoyed it. I want to know you guys' thoughts. So, again, you can email them to me at lettheladyspeak.com at gmail.com, or you can come to my Instagram. It's Let the Lady Speak. It's an underscore underneath every. So let underscore the underscore lady underscore speak. You can go to my anchor page. There's a message page there. Again, Let the Lady Speak and leave me a message. You can leave me a voice message there, actually. Feel free to go to any of those platforms. Follow my podcast on all podcast outlets at Let the Lady Speak. Follow me on YouTube. And we're going to talk about love life, and relationships on YouTube. I'm working on doing some other videos, but me and this editing, y'all, child, I can't wait till I can have somebody else do it for me, because it's a no for me. It's a no for me. But I can't wait to hear more from you. I hope you enjoyed tonight's episode. I thank you for your time. I thank you for your support. Love you for who you are. Thank you for letting me speak. Have a great night. Bye-bye.